Welcome! Hydrocarbons are also very common in regions that have experienced substantial shortening, such as fold and thrust belts. Large productive fields of this type are found, for instance, all along the frontal part of the Rocky Mountains in Canada and in the US, and in front of the Andes in Bolivia and Colombia. Fold and thrust belts develop in the external domains of regional collisions between two continental plates. Shortening causes thrusting and the formation of a pile of thrust sheets stacked upon each other. In the vertical cross-section, you can see the most important components of the system. In the deep part of the section, you see the rifted margin succession, which includes grabens formed during rifting and the post-rift sediments. The upper part of the section is characterized by two main units. The first one, which you can see on the right, are the thrust sheets resulting from regional convergence. These form thrust-related folds and pile up, creating an extra load on the lithosphere. As a consequence of loading, a 4D basin develops in the front of the advanced origin, mostly hosting interregional sediments produced in the mountain belt. At the transition between the two domains, you can see that new thrusts are activated, involving the sediments deposited in the foredeep. As convergence continues, parts of the foredeep succession are thrusted and incorporated into the origin itself. Now, this is what a typical hydrocarbon play in fold and thrust belt looks like. The source rocks are typical marine sediments being deposited during the post-rift stage, preceding shortening, or in the initial shortening stages. They generate hydrocarbons, which will migrate upward, often along the thrust folds, and will accumulate in traps. The most common type of trap is related to the folds developed during shortening. Alternatively, hydrocarbons might accumulate in sand bodies in the terrestrial succession in the 4D basin itself. A key challenge in fold and thrust belts is the relative timing of a hydrocarbon generation and trap formation. If hydrocarbons are generated too early, when the folds are not present, then they might simply reach the surface with no accumulation. Reservoirs associated with anticlines in the external zones of fold and thrust belts are often quite superficial and have been known for the first discoveries made in the history of the hydrocarbons. At present, most of these targets have been already identified, and exploration is directed towards deeper targets. This is very challenging and high-risk exploration.